Number 10. She was pressured into marriage. While Nicole was excited to be married at first, nowadays she realizes the particularly pressure-filled situation that she was actually in. At the tender age of 23, Nicole Kidman tied the knot with Tom Cruise, who was then 28. Per Entertainment Weekly, they celebrated their nuptials in a cozy little ceremony under the Colorado sun. By today's standards, 23 certainly seems a little bit young to settle down, but love is love, so just let them do what they're gonna do. Kidman has gone on record claiming that the situation was a whirlwind of emotions. She was thrust into the world of stardom and fame alongside her already established husband, Tom Cruise. She also mentions that throughout their first year together, Tom was a very different man. He was attentive and almost sweet, but things eventually grew sour, and after 11 years, Kidman woke up and realized what was going on. Number 9. Filmed herself. One of the biggest red flags of all is her obliviousness to what she has been doing. Not only did this woman mistreat her family, she filmed the entire thing. Seriously, someone must have told her that she was the best vlogger around, because despite being an actual piece of trash come to life, she continued to film every single terrible thing she ever did and shared it with the world. I'm not gonna get too deep into it because I can't talk about it. She has filmed herself making her cry, demanding that they apologize for little things, and literally calling them liars. Her eldest have even gone so far as to disown their mom, removing her as the legal guardian. According to the eldest, they have been trying to call their mom out for years, but their cries fell on deaf ears, finally being vindicated and seeing justice play out. Number 8. Taylor Swift. That's right, in 2016, Matty Healy responded to allegations that he and Taylor were dating, calling them emasculating. He was asked if the two had a romantic connection after Taylor was spotted attending several of his concerts that year, and while he hadn't actually spoken to Taylor yet, he seemed to have his mind made up on his feelings towards the singer. He literally responded to, "Would you date her?" with, "After that." Buddy, what? Taylor Swift is a lyrical genius, and she's only made stronger with the ending of each relationship she's endured. The fact that the two are finally confirming their entanglement should be cause for concern for Matty. You see, the worse the relationship, the more powerful the subsequent song becomes. Matty has had a long history of substance issues, racial tirades, and public displays of aggression, so it would make sense that Taylor would get together with 1975 frontman, if only to get the message out that this guy is nuts and he should be cancelled immediately.
And at number 8, no good rumors. Rumors are always gonna do it for just about any star. So of course, when Brie stepped out into the limelight and grew her following, she wasn't excluded from the gossip and speculation surrounding her newer life. Not when she was also soon being hated for simply breathing within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The rumors of Brie's on-set behavior, for one, is a running theory that just can't be squashed. And regardless if there's any real truth to the matter or not, they've already marked Brie's character. So much so that reports announced Don Cheadle confirming the speculation surrounding Brie in the past. But instead of feeding into the mess, Don actually revealed that fans were reading far too much into her rumored bad blood with her castmates. In a series of since-deleted tweets sourced by Looper, Don formally wrote regarding the fact, "Whoever you are, take a break from your detective work. We're all good. Hope you enjoyed the movie." And to take things one step further, Don even added the actress, finalizing, "So many speculators tonight, ma. See you tomorrow." Clearly, these bouts of rumors continue to play into the hot water Bree's landed in time and time again though. But I, for one, am glad Don put at least those rumors to rest for good.
Number 6. Excluded Zayn Malik. It seems like when Zayn Malik decided to leave One Direction behind, his departure was definitely hard for many of the group members, especially Liam, and he became really savage over the incident, as he did everything he could to exclude the former boy band member from everything, especially when it came to praising his other bandmates for working so hard. As let's not forget, he once left Zayn out of a tweet that congratulated his fellow group members on their victory after fans got the hashtag One Direction Best Fans trending as part of the contest. Liam would then take to his own Twitter account to tag Niall, Lewis, and Harry before saying, "Can you believe that after so long, thank you so much, you guys are unbelievable." But how do you forget to congratulate someone who helped you make it to the top? No wonder why Zayn made the decision to leave the band in the first place. Number 5. Florence close to Jason Sudeikis. So before Florence was on the set of Don't Worry Darling, she was actually really close to Olivia's ex, Jason Sudeikis, at one point. When the set of the film started, Florence was still in a relationship with Zach Braff, and because of his friendship with Jason, Florence was actually pretty close. shows. When Florence started working on the set and noticed Olivia was cheating on her boyfriend, she found things extremely awkward for her. Eventually, during filming, both Florence and Zach called things off, and Florence's cameo was cut from Jason Sudeikis' show Ted Lasso, because apparently Florence told Jason about Olivia's affair, and she said Florence was lying and it was actually her cheating on Zach with Harry, and this led Florence and Zach to split, while more drama started to circulate around the whole affair or affairs.
Number 4. Her business partner. Following 8 Passengers, Frank launched the Connections podcast with Jody Hildebrandt, a therapist and founder of a self-improvement and empowerment company of the same name. According to the company's mission statement on its website, they invite and encourage healing and facilitate personal growth through impeccable honesty, rigorous personal responsibility, and humility. Okay. Per USA Today, viewers described both Frank and Hildebrandt's philosophy on parenting as extremely strict. In an April 2023 interview with the Into the Light podcast recorded before her mother's arrest, Cherie Frank explained that her family's involvement in the Connections company was a reason for her estranged relationship. She said that they joined Connections so that they could be growth-oriented. However, over time, according to her, Connections' teachings became more extreme and made her wonder if they were in accordance with her Christian beliefs. Her business partner is also involved in the arrest, as she is suspected to not only have knowledge of the mistreatment, but that she actively encouraged it. Number 3. Zane Lowe. Zane is a DJ, radio host, and television presenter from New Zealand. Zane invited the controversial Healy onto his show and got to know the 1975 frontman, specifically his opinions on fans. You see, he suggested that artists who participate in paid meet and greets were exploiting fans and their passion for money. While apparently it's okay to charge hundreds of dollars to attend a concert that these guys put on, it's not okay to make a few bucks meeting face to face with people who love your work. In the interview, Maddie went on to claim that if the celebrity in question had to take the $20 from the fan themselves, it would be a very different interaction. The DJ was quick to remind Healy that meet and greets vary from length and time. For instance, at Fan Expo in Toronto, meet and greets tend to last like a few minutes, with fans being able to actually have conversations with the people they're meeting, and they get to snap some pics with their heroes too, so it's kind of a bonus. Healy stood by his statements and called the idea of meet and greets disgraceful. Well, that's just disgraceful that you feel that way.
And number 2, jealousy. Now this next one isn't very fact-based, as according to fans of Brie, the reason she's so hated is a case of plain old classic jealousy. That hint of the ugly green venomous emotion can perhaps be the real reason people despise her, and it wouldn't be very shocking if so. She's an actress who keeps landing huge roles, is unafraid to use her platform, and continues growing in success. Surely this is grounds for some type of envy, right? But is this disdain based on truth, or are people really just envious of her unabashed accomplishments? Well, let's take note of other stars who faced insane amount of hate on their come up, for example, like Meghan Markle, Jake Paul, and Yoko Ono. All these celebrities seem to have their own separate reasons for being rumoredly problematic or reportedly worth being chewed up and spit out in the media. And it seems Brie has unfortunately long since joined that pity party.
And coming in at number 1 today, we have Shub Lewis. It seems like Liam isn't exactly as buddy-buddy with his One Direction bandmates as he would like people to think he is, as at one point, during one of the boy band's concerts, he actually was seen shoving his bandmate Louis Tomlinson on stage. While Harry Styles was performing, Liam and Louis, out of nowhere, would get into a slight brawl. With there being a time and a place to have any altercation, on stage in front of your fans is definitely not the place, especially when you should be supporting your other bandmates. Liam has tried to say that the two are only joking around, however that hasn't stopped fans from coming after him on social media. Liam then went on to take on all the backlash in a humorous manner, instead of addressing it, learning from his mistakes, as he just decided to ignore it. But joke or not, you just don't put your hands on someone, there's no excuse for it.
At number 10, Kim's nannies. Kim Kardashian is arguably the most famous of the Kardashian sisters and also seems to be the busiest. For example, Kim has 4 kids, a skincare line, her Skims brand, she's attending law school, co-founded an equity team, and recently even hopped on the podcast train. And that's all on top of filming their new reality show on Hulu. You may be asking yourself, how does one woman do all that by herself? herself. She pays people to do it for her, duh. Kardashian has multiple assistants and nannies to help her stay above the overwhelming workload, but has been known to treat them as lesser than her. For instance, on several occasions, Kim and her daughter North would go to lunch accompanied by their nanny, but Kim made her not only sit at a separate table away from them at the restaurant, known to make her nannies walk at least 10 feet away from her at all times. If they walk near her or attempt to walk side by side, apparently she blows up on them behind closed doors. Needless to say, she has had many nannies over the years and has probably made them all cry at least once. At number 9, Kourtney in general. While Kim may not be the best boss in the world, it's Kourtney who is known as the absolute worst boss of all time. According to former nannies, Kourtney was by far the worst Kardashian to work for. Not only is she a neat freak, needing every single thing to be exactly where it should be, she's also known for being surprisingly cheap, even once calling a different grocery store while she was shopping to compare the price of a chicken breast, because if anyone needs that extra 99 cents, it's Kourtney. But this isn't the worst thing she's done. One time, Kourtney's daughter had bitten a nanny so hard that she had to quit, but instead of letting it go and taking responsibility for not teaching her daughter how to treat people, she berated the nanny, telling her she should have said something to her daughter in the moment. Because it makes sense to blame the woman you're paying to raise your kid instead of the kid herself to prevent future incidents. At number 8, toxic chemicals. Kylie Jenner is the youngest of the Kardashian clan and is extremely successful for her age. In 2019, she made the cover of Forbes magazine as the youngest self-made billionaire, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta Beauty. I'm not sure Forbes knows what self-made means, but this collaboration would allow Jenner's brand, previously only available online and at pop-up stores, to be placed on shelves in Ulta's 1,000+ stores. This is unfortunate considering the true nature of just where those products come from. Many employees at the factory that mixed and packaged her makeup and beauty products have been reported that they were never given proper safety equipment that one would require to do that job. They were only given hairnets, lab coats, and safety goggles, leaving their hands and face completely exposed. Workers would regularly report migraines and mild chemical burns on their hands. I know they say beauty is pain, but I don't think this is what they meant. At number 7, Victoria. Victoria Valero has been Kylie Jenner's close personal assistant since 2015, but the pair go back to 2014 when Valero was interning as a personal assistant for Kris Jenner. After gaining the family's trust, she was hired as Kylie's house manager and soon after became her personal assistant. Victoria and Jenner became very close over the years, and she was even present at the secret birth of Kylie's daughter Stormi. You would think with being so close to the family, it would be through thick and thin, right? Well, all good things must come to an end as Victoria quit in 2019. Many fans allege that she had quit to focus on becoming an Instagram influencer, but that was far from her real reason for leaving. Being around that family means seeing a lot of stuff and doing a lot of stuff. Victoria was basically in charge of scheduling Kylie's life. Booking appointments, meetings, massages, all of this is stressful enough, basically being a 24/7 gig, but the job was also very degrading, with Kylie even having Victoria pull out a stool and set it up outside so that Kylie could get out of her car smoother. I think anyone in their right mind would want to get out of that job as soon as possible. At number 6, GoFundMe. In March 2021, Kylie shared an Instagram post asking for prayers for one of her makeup artists, Samuel Rhoda, with the post redirecting fans to a GoFundMe page where they were asked to donate money to cover his medical bills for an upcoming surgery. That's right, the woman who got a feature on Forbes' top 60 self-made women list was asking her fans to donate some of their money. Why would Kylie herself not just use some of her billions of dollars to cover the bills? Well, she went online to claim that her and Sam didn't know each other on a personal level. She had worked with him a few years prior and thought he was a sweetheart. Supposedly, her current makeup artist had shared a post about Samuel's accident, which included a link to a GoFundMe campaign created by his family. She went on to let fans know that she herself donated $5,000. Okay, sure, that's a ton of money to most of us, but for Jenner, that's like $5. Something tells me the surgery would be a lot more than that. This is just another instance proving Kylie is the worst, because I know she would drop more than that on a purse. At number 5, the lawsuit. In March of 2021, a lawsuit was arranged by several of Kim's former employees. The plaintiffs claimed that Kardashian failed to pay them overtime, cover expenses, and provide legally mandated breaks. The employees also never received actual pay stubs or any proof of payment whatsoever. They were also made to purchase everything out of pocket, and one plaintiff was even fired on the spot for simply addressing his concerns to Kim. Then, when the rest were eventually let go, they received no type of severance package or pay of any kind. It was also uncovered that Kim would keep 10% of all their earnings for tax purposes, but failed to report their employment to tax authorities. Kim argued that she couldn't be held responsible because most of her employees were apparently hired and paid through third-party companies, meaning Kim herself was technically technically not their direct employer and therefore cannot be liable. Kim maintains that she paid people on time and that they were suing the wrong person, but if that were the case, Kardashian would have used her high status and influence long ago to make things work for her staff, and maybe she wouldn't have gotten sued by them. At number 4, Kim and Kanye. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West started dating in 2012 and were officially married in 2014. During their marriage, life was rocky to say the least. While Kim was fairly tame for the most part, as we all know, Kanye's mental health was slowly slipping. He began posting hate speech and racially fueled tweets, as well as constantly sharing his political views and publicly backing Donald Trump. Is it really any surprise that Kim found comfort in another man's arms? While hosting SNL in 2021, Kim met Pete Davidson while still married to Kanye. We'll cover their side in another entry. Kanye discovered that Kim and Pete began dating following the live show and seemed to be the final breaking point. Apparently, only a few months before the show, Ye and Kim were constantly arguing about everything. Following their divorce, Kim revealed that she would constantly try to help Ye understand why his views and words were wrong. She wanted him to get better, but instead he doubled down and filed for a divorce. Kim is now happily single and received joint custody of her 4 kids, so it's a win-win for the Kardashian clan and for Kanye. At number 3, they don't pay. While the Kardashians have had their problems with staff individually, there seems to be one specifically toxic trait the family shares as a unit. They don't pay people. Former employees have come forward over the years calling out the family for not paying them fair wages and no overtime hours. The Kardashians don't cover expenses including gas, food, rent. Everything is out of the employee's pocket with zero money coming back. To make matters worse, the Kardashians would not pay them on set paydays, meaning you just got paid when you got paid and had to deal with it. You would think with the family being one of the richest in the world that they would at least pay the people that help run their lives. While they have a massive staff of people cooking their food, folding their clothes, and raising their children, they barely even acknowledge their existence. Just imagine what would happen if the staff decided to walk out. The family would crumble in less than a day. At number 2, paid in exposure. When Andre Turbia, famous YouTube animator and content creator, was asked to work with Kylie Jenner, he thought that his life would change forever. He was under the impression that the collaboration would grant him a huge amount of money, possibly a guest spot on a reality show, and maybe some shoutouts online via Instagram and Twitter. However, when Andre brought up the topic of his compensation to Jenner, she responded with, "The company doesn't really have a budget right now, so we're going to have to pay you in exposure." Like, hey, that's cool, but you can't cook exposure in a frying pan and eat it for dinner, nor is it a currency accepted at most gas stations or banks. And by exposure, she meant Andre's name being in a small print underneath her content. Andre did what anyone in their right mind would do in that situation and refused to work with her, telling her to take that exposure and shove it where the sun don't shine. And at number 1, lied about their wealth. Oh, not enough proof for ya? Well, here you go. As mentioned earlier in this list, Kylie Jenner made the cover of Forbes magazine in 2019 as the youngest self-made billionaire, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta Beauty. Well, it turns out that wasn't really the case. Jenner allegedly sold half of her company, Kylie Cosmetics, to beauty giant Coty in a deal worth $1.2 billion. This was huge and considered one of the greatest celebrity cash outs of all time. But the first rule of being a famous person is, if you can help it, try not to lie. Especially to Forbes magazine, who did some digging and revealed that Jenner was actually inflating the size and profit margins of her business. It turns out the cosmetic brand was on a much smaller scale than originally thought. As it was uncovered, Jenner only actually made around $314 million after taxes for the company. Several financial advisors backed up the story, claiming that they were berated into complying with the lie and made to help maintain the numbers for the public. Mother of the family, Kris, even played a key role in gathering false business documents to send to Forbes, making her company appear to be in the billions. Remember, if you can't figure something out, just ask mom.
Number 10. The literal warnings from viewers. Despite 8 Passengers' popularity during its run, Frank's parenting style drew scrutiny and allegations of mistreatment from viewers very early on. Following a viewerschange.org petition to have the Franks investigated, Utah's Division of Family Services visited the Franks' home and interviewed the children for 2 hours. According to a DCFS letter reviewed by Insider, the case was dropped due to a lack of evidence for the allegations. In an interview with the same outlet in 2020, Frank explained, "What people aren't understanding is that we are giving our choice in everything. We are teaching our to be self-governing, so I was always very open with our son that he gets to choose how long he's separate from his brother depending on his behavior. One incident that concerned viewers occurred when the Frank's daughter Eve went to school one day without her lunch. In a vlog, Ruby recalled a text message that she received from Eve's teacher asking whether she would be able to drop off some food to school, and Ruby responded with, "Eve is responsible for making her own lunches in the morning, so the natural outcome is she's gonna be hungry. Hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her lunch." You ever just want to like throw someone off a cliff? Number 9, the wedding ban. One of the kids that these two share, Connor Cruz, was set to be married a few years back and was really hoping that his mama Nikki would be in attendance. However, an insider spilled the juices of Connor Cruz's wedding and said that Top Gun Maverick star Tom Cruise banned Kidman from ever entering the event. As per the reports, the Endless Love actor didn't want Nicole Kidman to attend his son's wedding as she is considered to be suppressive by the Church of Science, let's say. And also, Cruz just doesn't want any association with her in general. Ever since their separation, it's almost as if Tom has just like wiped Kidman from his memory. He ignores her at every possible moment. These two have not spoken in over 20 years despite sharing a troubled past and, children, which is famously great for development, just ignoring your kids. Kidman has never actually gone public on the specific reason that Tom avoids her like the plague, but sure, people avoid their exes all the time. But these guys have such a long history together. The idea that there seems to be some specific reason or something more behind the cold shoulder is a mystery only Nicole can solve. Number 8. Her channel. Per Fox 13, Frank and her husband Kevin Frank are a Mormon couple and parents of 6 Cherie, Chad, Abby, Julie, Russell, and Eve. In 2015, the couple started the 8 Passengers channel on YouTube that documented the family's daily life. According to NPR, the most viewed clips from the channel showed the experiences growing up, such as them trying on clothes and being disciplined. At the height of its popularity, 8 Passengers had 2.5 million subscribers, only it was shut down this year. The main cause of the shutdown was the fact that those 2.5 million viewers were extremely concerned for the family and were noticing patterns of mistreatment from day one. Ruby thought she was popular for being a good parent, but people were just watching her videos in disbelief that a person this dense actually existed. Number 7, she's withholding. If Ruby knows how to do one thing wrong, it's be a parent. Since being arrested, thousands of fans have released video evidence of her being horrible over the years. One of her biggest overreactions that was documented was her refusal to celebrate Christmas one year to teach her a lesson about being selfish. Ruby literally showed them all of the gifts that she bought them and never gave them to the kids. She also refused to bring her daughter lunch one day after accidentally leaving it at home, like I talked about earlier, literally keeping food from the mouth of the person you're supposed to feed. It's disgusting. This woman deserves all the hate she is receiving, and I hope she gets put away for a very, very long time. Number 6, neighbors warned CPS. In the aftermath of Frank and Hildebrandt's arrests, 2 unidentified neighbors of Ruby Frank in Springfield, Utah spoke to NBC News, revealing that some people in the neighborhood earlier contacted the Utah Division of Child and Family Services over concerns about the welfare of the kids. Frank's neighbors also alleged that she began spending more time away from her home after she got involved with the company Connections. An anonymous source told NBC News that Frank kicked her husband Kevin out of their house last year. People have reached out to lawyers representing Kevin Frank, but they did not immediately hear back, so it's unclear if Frank or Hildebrandt have retained attorneys to speak on their behalf at this very moment. Number 5, her advice is terrible. Despite being a famous family vlogger, most people think her advice is just trash. The woman behind 8 Passengers, aka The Devil, is known for spouting some absolute nonsense. She shared her so-called parenting advice on her YouTube channel, which was basically ignore your when they cry for help and no pranks in the house. One of her most controversial comments / bad advice was suggesting that eating disorders were something made up for attention and are something to be ignored entirely. Anyone who's ever suffered from an eating disorder before knows for a fact that that's not the case. In fact, most times it's something uncontrollable, like a reaction to some serious life stuff. Stress, anxiety, literally so many things can cause that issue. She has said a million things that are wrong and cruel, but I'm not gonna get into all of them because my head might physically explode. I don't like this lady. Number 4, he attempts to get her on his side. Now, devoting one's life to a faith created by a science fiction writer is all well and good, but trying to talk your fellow celebrities into doing the same thing, that's pretty annoying. especially when you're married to one. I'm sure someone out there is still trying to get signatures for their Church of Lovecraft petition. It's in the link below. Sign it, please. I want it. Nicole told the Daily Mail that Cruz had an unhealthy obsession with soccer superstar David Beckham and viewed him as the ideal candidate for conversion. Sadly for Tom, that never actually happened, but it wasn't for a lack of trying though. According to Nicole, in an attempt to lure David into the Science World headquarters, Cruz ordered Sea Org, which is the short form for Science Folk Organization members, to create a full-size soccer stadium. That's right, he built a stadium like the old nerdy guy in Benchwarmers, and guess what? Beckham did not come. He said he would come and check it out, but Dave and his wife ditched the event and chose to ghost protocol his butt. And of course this decision was made after he tried to get Nicole involved several times, but remember, she's a difficult person according to the church. Number 3. Uncomfortable family. The proof that this woman was a literal monster comes from her interactions with her own family. Over the years, whether it's been online or in her own personal life, Ruby really likes to just document everything that happens for the cameras. Every time someone from her life is on camera, they just look immediately uncomfortable. They always seem to be taken off guard and in fear of what this woman might say next. In family portraits taken over the years, you can literally see Ruby with an iron grip on her as if she's going to pick them up and walk away the moment the photo is taken. Since the news of her arrest has come out, her eldest have come forward to confirm their mother's behavior over the years, claiming that family photos meant everyone make mom look good, or else. This woman is terrible, and I'm not gonna try to be funny here because there's just no reason to be. She's terrible. That's it. She's terrible. Number 2, pranking. Ruby may be known for her strict parenting skills, but in May of this year, she posted a video with her son Chad titled "What We Haven't Told You." This video may have been the first red flag, and honestly should have been. In the video, Chad confessed that he was forced to sleep on a beanbag chair for 7 months in their basement as a punishment for tricking his little brother into thinking the family was going to Disneyland. This was something that had recently happened, as Chad mentions that he was just given his room back a few weeks prior to filming the video, and that video came out in May of this year. Chad told the story of the prank, and while it's cruel for sure, his mother's reaction is beyond extreme. According to Ruby, this was not the main reason she had forced him into the chair, claiming that he had been behind some extreme jokes on his younger siblings. But while they laughed this off initially, nobody thought this was funny, and thousands of comments were left claiming that this was just another form of neglect. Now, neglect is not the right word to use here, but I'm not allowed to say the real one on the internet. And at number 1, she's TikTok famous. TikTok is the reason that some truly terrible people have a massive following around the world. Ruby is one of those people. Over the years, to boost her views, Ruby has been posting TikToks with either edited footage from her YouTube channel or just straight up something that she made at home. While the videos have amassed millions of likes and views, it's not for the right reasons. The videos that are most popular see her giving either terrible parenting advice or showcasing just how horrible this woman really is. Her reaction to her behavior is truly something to behold. It seems like everything they do deserves just an overreaction. In one TikTok with over 11.3 million views, Ruby is scolding her youngest for not being excited about going to the movies, literally forcing her to smile and apologize. Several other TikToks showcase her reacting to her family and them having this face of just sheer terror. Every other day, she was tormenting the people she loved and treating them like dirt. Number 10. Ryan Reynolds. Actor, producer, and sports manager Ryan Reynolds recently posted a selfie seemingly poking fun at his friend Taylor Swift and her new boo. He posted a selfie with the words "Zoom Zoom" on his forehead while the tune of Chocolate by the 1975 played behind it. While he didn't mention Healy or Taylor by name, the photo came a few days following the swirling rumors that the two were in fact together. While this post may seem playful at first, further inspection would indicate that Ryan is trying to tell us something. Zoom zoom. Think about that. Zoom zoom, a sound normally attributed with speed. Is he trying to say that maybe Taylor is rushing into something with Maddie? Or is zoom zoom code to get away from him as fast as she can? Well, nobody knows specifically, but if Deadpool is talking smack about you online, you've definitely earned it. Number 9. Imagine Dragons. This all dates back to 2017, when Healy expressed his dislike towards the band Imagine Dragons during an interview. He said that the band's super hit Radioactive may as well be called Pikachu Banana because it was nonsense. nonsense? Okay, first of all, no. Secondly, you are nonsense. Imagine Dragons frontman Dan Reynolds took the criticism to heart, writing a series of impassioned Instagram posts defending his work. He expressed that he was over the fact that people from other bands felt the need to talk badly about, well, other bands for whatever reason. He wasn't mad at Matty at all. If anything, Dan was just sad for the guy, and for the industry that he claims embraces and celebrates this kind of behavior. Matty responded on a Chicago radio station, WKQX, with nothing but short-tempered bursts of frustration and disdain towards the band. They didn't even say that they were mad about the comments, and Matty still felt the need to continue bashing them in public. Imagine Dragons are an incredible crew with massive amounts of talent, so it's a real shame that Matty will never truly get to appreciate their music. So sad. Number 8. He's a bad dad. Cruz has 3 children, Isabella and Connor, who were adopted during his marriage to Nicole, and Suri, who he fathered with Katie Holmes before their split. The first sign of Tom Cruise being a bad dad came in 2015 when he missed his eldest daughter's wedding, despite her being heavily involved in the church, going so far as to have a science-themed wedding. While Bella does keep contact with her father, the same cannot be said for Tom's other kids. According to a June 2016 report from In Touch, Cruise hasn't had contact with Suri in years. According to insiders, this is simply due to his wanting to distance himself from his ex, Katie, and by association, his daughter. But it's not just Katie's kids that Tom has trouble with. Nicole's kids, Isabella and Connor, were adopted into the family unit and raised as their own, but when Nicole split from Tom, the relationship with them became very difficult. Their father was with a new woman, and soon after, that woman had a child, and then they had a new sibling. So up until they were adults, Tom rarely spoke to his kids, leaving Nicole to be the single mom, which apparently she did a stellar job at, as her kids have had nothing but nice things to say about this woman. Number 7. Kanye West. Kanye has been a controversial figure for quite some time. In most recent years, he's been under heavy fire for his anti-Semitic rants on stage and racially fueled tweets. It was concerning then to fans when this somehow inspired Matty to throw out a little salute. Be familiar to anyone who knows their world history. This was during the song Love It If We Made It, and the line he sang while he gave the salute was, "Thank you, Kanye, very cool." The line is intended to make fun of Kanye, as that was famously tweeted by Donald Trump in 2018 after Kanye publicly endorsed the former president, but he called Kanye out in a recent interview saying that he clearly has some issues upstairs, but that's no excuse to be anti-Semitic. Hey man, you do it on stage all the time with like no warning. At least Kanye has an excuse. Number 6. Metallica. Metallica have been a prominent rock metal band since 1981. Their fast tempo, instruments, and aggressive musical mashups made them one of the founding 4 bands of thrash metal. The crew has also constantly been berated and bullied by one Matt Healy. In an interview with Pitchfork in 2022, Matt was asked if he was a fan of the band. Their song Master of Puppets had recently returned to the charts after being featured in the finale of Stranger Things Season 4. Rest in peace, Eddie. Healy quickly snapped and said he freaking hated Metallica, dude. He went on to name several of the bands that he did enjoy without giving much of a reason for his hatred towards Metallica. He's been quoted as calling them the worst band of all time. Now, I happen to know a billion people that would highly disagree with that statement, including members of Metallica themselves, who responded to these comments in the most Metallica way possible, by ignoring him and reminding the world that he's not worth any of their time. Number 5. Adam Friedland. Adam is your typical woman hater living in his mama's basement, so naturally he got started in stand-up comedy. He started in small clubs and open mics before getting a big break, joining a podcast that is just filled with disgusting comments and notions about women. Seriously, like, don't listen to the trash these guys call content. While Adam himself is extremely problematic, Matt Healy appeared on an episode of The Pod, and he fit right in. The conversation ended up consisting of Healy making misogynistic comments over and over again, and at one point even referencing fellow musician Ice Spice in some very choice words. During the same interview, the discussion of watching adult videos came up, and Healy, without prompting, shared that he enjoyed a type of content that is just not worth repeating, like we will get demonetized. This podcast seemed to prove the theory that his bad boy persona is not just some stage gag, but it's actually his genuine personality. He later apologized for his comments on the podcast, but hey, some of the things he said in the moment of the interview, you just cannot take back, no matter what. You just can't. Number 4. bandmates. Well, Maddie has certainly made a name for himself as a unique individual, making the audience swoon, cringe, and gag in equal measures with his highly questionable onstage antics. Up to this point, he has kissed several audience members by just dragging them on stage, of course consensually. He's sucked thumbs, he's had his chest tattooed, and he's even eaten raw meat on stage live in front of his audience. The 1975 brought their controversial tour to Leeds earlier this year while promoting their latest album, Being Funny, in a foreign language. During the show, it seemed that Maddie wanted to get something off of his chest about racism, which did not go well with his bandmates. In a video shared on TikTok, Maddie approaches the mic and begins to say, "I don't think it's a racist thing to say," at which point his bandmates hammered on the music and cut him off. Maddie was visually frustrated, but immediately popped into singer mode. Now, this was a good move by the band, as not only would this have probably ruined the flow of the show, but hey, it would have brought on a lot of unwanted negative press to the tour itself. Number 3, bad husband. Tom's love life has been a part of the media circus for a very large portion of his career. His first marriage to actress Mimi Rogers only lasted 3 years before they split and Tom moved on to Nicole Kidman. Nicole and Tom got married in 1990 and they were actually together for quite some time, spending 11 years together before ultimately calling it quits in 2001. But of course, his most memorable and public relationship was with Katie Holmes. Now, thanks to Tom being an absolute menace, his divorces always seemed to go public, with him popping up in the media one way or another. Nicole did not appreciate having her name dragged through the mud and hated having to answer questions from journalists, claiming that Tom was actually enjoying the publicity while she was just suffering silently. Number 2, The Guardian. The Guardian is a well-respected news outlet that has seemingly covered Healy's career pitfalls over the years. They somehow always have the latest info about the singer's personal issues, and the articles written about Healy and his behavior are wild. Not only do they chronicle his ranting and his overall lack of chill, but they tell a story of a man who is unaware of the damage he's actually causing. One particular scandalous entry is from February of this year. At that time, Healy had resurrected an old trend of bringing fans on stage and kissing them with their consent. He was doing this constantly at shows, which was unfortunate as it's now been confirmed that there was something happening between him and Taylor Swift at the time, so he was kind of like publicly cheating on her? I don't know. They've also covered the specifics of Healy's racially fueled rants, whether it's on a podcast or on stage. Maddie is their favorite train wreck to write about, and they will continue to do so until he is officially cancelled. And finally, number 1, Matt Healy. That's right, Matt Healy has been crying out from the inside for a large portion of his career. While the behavior on this list has been rough to say the least, it's Healy himself who was warning us all along. He's been so chaotic since the very beginning of the band's inception in 2002. A large portion of his issues can be attributed to his difficult battle with substance control that lasted for 4 years in his 20s. Healy came clean in a recent interview with Rolling Stones and confirmed that he had been addicted to a controlled substance for 4 years in the early days of the band's history. A lot of his early onstage antics then were the result of him just being under the influence, and some of that may have stuck with him despite kicking the habit. This must have some kind of mental toll on the artist though, as his behavior only seemed to become more and more controversial. His comments have become unhinged and unwanted, and he's basically a musician that uses his time between songs to share his messed up views. So if that's not a cry for help, I don't know what is.
In at number 10, Marvel. Now this 10th point has layers because I'm sure many of you are aware of the levels of hate Brie has received over time. But if not, well, buckle up because you're in for a hella long ride. Point 10A starts with the most recent release of her newest film, The Marvels, which dropped on Marvel Entertainment's YouTube channel on April 11, 2023. This trailer is the company's most disliked ever release, and despite a lot of fan speculation that it's solely Brie's fault, there's another running theory that the inclusion of an all-female superhero cast may be behind some of that flack. The film snippet was released earlier this week, and as of now has received 468,000 dislikes, significantly catching up to its current total likes of 497,000. Though upon its initial reveal, the number of dislikes surpassed the likes by thousands. Now we turn into point 10.B, which touches on how much Marvel fans despised Brie from the start and why. Though it's not truly known for being one specific thing, she has since received a lot of slack for pretty much endless reasons. Whether it's her sudden lack of enthusiasm or something anything deeper, Brie has pretty much seen it all, but we'll discuss that more later on. Finally, our 10-point C point is her Captain Marvel role. Brie was heavily praised for her roles in comedic films. Before landing Captain Marvel, the actress excelled in being humorous. But down the road, things seemed to drastically change. As she sunk further and further into her CM role, the majority of her humor notably disappeared. It got to a point where fans dubbed her unfit for her character, with some arguing that her ego got in the way of her natural talent. She was originally chosen for the role because she could balance simultaneously being sassy and funny. However, the longer she stayed in her Marvel role, the further she seemed to stray from that naturality. All the years of hate resulted in Brie addressing whether or not she planned to continue portraying Captain Marvel. But that leads us right into our 9th point. In at number 9, arrogant actress. If you were looking for that solid reason why Brie is so hated as an actress, these next 9 points may just confirm everything, but specifically our 9th point. Marvel fans never seem to forgive the claimed fact that Brie has become far too egotistical for her role in the MCU. And the worst part? Supposedly it's not even her playing Captain Marvel that brought about her supposed arrogance, but rather what the role did to seemingly fill up her head and cause an attitude. Reports state that the instant Brie was phased into a major franchise, she transitioned into this conceited actress who now takes being talented for granted. Because of this, her acting quality has taken a supposed hit and now reflects her off-screen character harshly. It also turns fans off and leaves them with a sour taste in their mouth. For example, most notably, collective groans from MCU fans were heard worldwide when the announcement for Brie's reprisal of Carol Danvers was released. Her recast for the Marvels, as aforementioned, showed Brie as another huge addition to the film after her main character moment in her superhero flick, Captain Marvel. While embarking on various interviews and press tours for the OGCM movie and simultaneously promoting Avengers Endgame, devoted Marvel supporters found just about every way to criticize Brie's every move, dubbing her aggressive, snarky, defensive, and arrogant amid endless other ridicule. Following the 2019 release of Captain Marvel, hardcore MCU fans ripped Brie and her portrayal apart, claiming her character was poorly thought out and her acting measured up to such. Both ahead of and after Avengers Endgame came out, shortly after Brie's films, a handful of MCU actors, including Brie this time, shared a press tour. During these sit-downs, fans assumed Brie's castmates disliked her and her behavior, eventually resulting in compilations of the shadiest moments online. The D23 Expo was the first to see the Captain Marvel sequel, and when Brie was questioned by a Variety journalist on how long she planned to portray her newer Avengers character, in line with the original sequence of retirements, Brie arguably replied in a snarky manner. She shrugged nonchalantly while looking around and exclaiming, "I don't know, does anyone want me to do it again?" Seeming taken aback, the journalist chuckled while glancing at the camera, assuming Brie was just being modest. However, Brie seemed to be addressing the intense hatred she received ever since originally taking on her character. Spreading like wildfire on the internet, fans began sharing a list of names to steal Brie's role, including Zendaya, Blake Lively, Jennifer Lawrence, Emilia Clarke, and Sophie Turner. To this day, the interview's replies are toxified with hate for the actress, as many labeled Brie insufferable. Slated for its November 2023 release, it seems Brie's haters will have to chew the metal in their mouths over her role a bit longer, as she appears to be in it for the long run.
Number 7. She was wired by Tom. Now, while Nicole has never actually confirmed that this is in fact the truth, a documentary centering around his scientific beliefs released info on Science and Hollywood, claiming that Tom had wiretapped Nicole Kidman's phone. According to former members of the church, Kidman was a target due to her father being a psychologist, something that they didn't believe was a real profession, making him an enemy in their eyes. During his marriage to Nicole, he actually started distancing himself from the group and their activities, particularly when he was filming Eyes Wide Shut in England. In an effort to bring Cruise back into the fold, the church made the effort to undermine his relationship and, at Cruise's request, allegedly hired a private investigator to tap Kidman's phone. The church also worked to turn the couple's son and daughter against Kidman, convincing them that she was a suppressive person. That of course did not work. In fact, the opposite effect happened. Her kids got closer to her and she started to realize how frickin' insane Tom is. Now, Kidman has never actually confirmed if this is real or not, but if Tom Cruise wiretapped your phone, would you go around telling people about it? Yes, that is a great story.
In at number 7, white actress, white influence. A huge portion of Brie's controversies actually stems from her stance on white influence, believe it or not. She takes a stand to push awareness but receives much backlash in return. Because while her intentions seem good, it also appears Brie doesn't fully grasp the understanding of not being a Caucasian actress in the industry. While she is bold to discuss the topic, those conversations don't hold much to her overall success and the roles she continues to land. And of course, this isn't really only her fault, but it's still showcases a specific misunderstanding behind the curtains. Once the show unveils, Brie continues to speak what she feels is right, but unfortunately ends up representing her messages wrong. In at number 6, controversies. In even more controversial displays comes the world's triggered disdain for the actress due to how loudly she pushes for change in award categorizations. Now, this may seem backwards, but since Brie has become a previous Academy Award winner for her past work, she's been dubbed hypocritical for speaking against the same accolade show for their decisions, according to netizens. However, Brie has been insistent on how much she disapproves of the way prestigious awards are voted on and critiqued. Brie has even taken a stand by releasing various statements echoing the sentiment. But of course, her calls to action have all been displayed very publicly, leading to people calling her out for calling out the staff and film critics' diversities, which are in charge of interviewing nominations and making the ultimate decisions. In at number 5, wrong intentions. This next point falls between the topics of Brie using her voice and being well misunderstood in the industry. As an actress who's been labeled as unafraid to use her voice, her strongly vocalized political and personal views have been commended and strongly hated, in turn leading to hate towards her. The issue with this lies in people deciphering whether or not her views are merely an act or she genuinely stands for them. Additionally, Brie's words and actions tend to be received in an assaulting way while attempting to allegedly take a stand for the greater good. In retrospect, people could just not believe her, or it could be that Brie lacks a good sense of expressiveness that deems her intentions uncertain to those receiving it. It's no wonder everything she says somehow translates into a negative aspect, if so. In at number 4, YouTube made things worse. Brie was already knee-deep in negative attention when she decided to launch her own YouTube channel. The general public was already questioning her every move and talent. And who would have thought creating the channel would have added even more controversy to Brie's list? Certainly not her, I hope. Her content brought in a massive amount of views, but she faced major backlash in the process. Her first video initially received just about as many dislikes as likes, which just isn't the standard for the video sharing platform. Despite fans speaking out in support of Brie, commentators have also expressed their negative opinions. And while, as for Brie, she seems to pretend she just simply doesn't see it. In at number 3, scalding statements. There have been questions floating around about whether Brie's deeply shocking comments can be classified as feminism or discrimination. Many of her statements are indeed strong-minded and bold, often calling out or saying things that hold truth to those who are guilty. But this also leads to netizens' opinions of intimidation. However, a handful of Brie's comments have heavily leaned towards the side of discrimination, but not in the racial sense as one may think. This would be feministic discrimination, according to reports. A lot of what Brie says has caused her to be labeled a difficult woman who hates white males. And obviously, people's opinions are valid, but this may be a bit overboard. It could also be true though, so I'll let you all be the judge of this point.
Number 2. The director noticed no tension. The Oscar-winning screenwriter of the 1999 drama Eyes Wide Shut spoke to several news outlets and claimed that the leading man Tom Cruise was an egocentric control freak while casting extreme doubt on the passion between the actor and his then-wife Nicole Kidman. According to Frederick Raphael, who also functioned as a script supervisor on set, he claimed that the shoot was extremely difficult for the crew. Whatever Tom wanted needed to be done, as according to Tom, he was paying everyone, so if he says jump, you say how high. He also accused Tom of being particularly mean to Nicole Kidman off camera, claiming that he would often judge her performances silently to the side in between takes. That is just the tip of the accusation iceberg though. Nicole has actually been fairly shy when it comes to speaking about this project, but we already talked about that. It turns out it may be because the on-set drama was just too much for her to handle. Tom had apparently hired a team of personal assistants who were always at his side every second of every day. At his beck and call 24/7, the assistants always just looked exhausted and in need of a Red Bull. But his treatment of Kidman was very revealing. Tom was secretly an angry, controlling little man who couldn't even enjoy the fact that he was working with his wife. Or you know that his wife was Nicole Kidman.
And in at number 1, maxed out talent. Critics have deemed it mutually impossible to factor out whether or not Brie's talents are now limited or if her reputation perceives her and people just can't stand it. A lot of the questions surrounding her abilities stem from her role as Captain Marvel, as discussed earlier. As this is a huge and widely supported industry, it's no surprise fans were unhappy with at least one actor in the MCU. But can we blame it all on her portrayal? Who knows? Still, Brie never really strived to change anything about her character to possibly win fans over, just ignored their vocalization for change. And of course, no one is ever as angry as a group of supporters who remain unnoticed, hence the hate that followed. Though Brie is talented, the question here is whether she has the right talent for what she's still doing.
Coming at number 10 today, we have cheating on Maya Henry. Liam Payne and Maya Henry's relationship problems were publicized from the start. The on and off again couple's relationship really hit the fan, however, and it wouldn't be until a cheating scandal happened that things would end once and for all. With chaos breaking the internet in 2022 after model Alina Mawa shared a photo of Liam in his arms wrapped around her to her Instagram stories. The picture was soon reposted by a fan, and many were quick to point out that the woman in the photos was not Liam's fiance. Liam was then bombarded with messages about the post because she took to the comments to ask people to stop sending her the photos by saying, "This is not me and it's hard enough knowing this happened without seeing it." Maya was then able to move on later after she posted a TikTok claiming she was Team Bryce after Liam discussed the possibility of participating in a boxing match during his impulsive interview. To the point, Bryce Hall even responded by challenging the musician to a match. Number 9. The impulsive interview. When Liam Payne made an appearance on YouTuber Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast in 2022, things got a little heated after he said he has come to blows over an incident with an unnamed band member, and went on to say there was a moment when there was an argument backstage and someone, one member in particular, threw me up against a wall, so I said to him, "If you don't remove those hands, there's a high likelihood you'll never use them again." But the unnamed culprit definitely firing up Liam for the rest of the interview. The bedroom floor singer also went on to get a lot of heat for his controversial comments about Zayn Malik's childhood, when he said, "My parents are overly supportive to the point it's annoying at times." Zayn had a different upbringing in that sense. And if the interview couldn't get any worse, he also left fans scratching their heads after he said his debut single Strip That Down was a bigger commercial hit than all of his former bandmates' first song solos. Even after Liam issued an apology for all the remarks he made about Zayn, he still wasn't able to bounce back completely with his fans. Number 8. The age gap. Liam Payne was 26 years old when he first went public with his then 19-year-old girlfriend, Maya Henry. The questionable age gap didn't stop the couple from professing their love for each other on social media. Liam then took to his Instagram in 2019 to share a photo of him and Henry getting close together. In the caption, he thanked the model for her support by writing, "Then last but not least, this one at Maya Henry for always keeping the biggest smile on my face through all the stress and making me realize how perfect my life really is." The couple then would go on to get engaged in 2020, but ultimately decided to go their separate ways. However, throughout the course of their relationship, Liam was constantly criticized for pursuing someone much younger than him, and some people even dug up more information to prove that Maya was actually lying about her age and she was 17 when they first began dating. With one Twitter user sharing screenshots of a number of sites that alleged Maya was actually 1 year younger than what she was claiming to be. In one tweet, the user would write, in 2016 an article about her 15th birthday party was posted in the Daily Mail, which stated she was still a freshman in high school, which would then put her in the graduating class of 2019. The thread gained so much attention to the point Liam even had to come out to say, 19, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Number 7. His thoughts on Harry Styles. Liam Payne's thoughts on Harry Styles' fashion evolution have definitely raised a couple of eyebrows or two. When the musician first started to shade Harry during an interview with Glamour magazine back in 2017, after being asked about the possibilities of Harry babysitting his son Bear, Liam would respond by saying, "I couldn't rely on Harry cause I feel like my child would come out dressed in something that I just wouldn't understand." Liam then tried his luck in another interview with The Face in 2019 where he touched on both the musician's artistic differences when he said, "I mean, look at the stuff I put out and the stuff Harry puts out. Polar opposite. I'm like the Antichrist version of what Harry is." As the interview went forward, Liam was then asked about his thoughts when it came to Harry's fashion, and he would say, "For me, it's a case of fair play to him for doing what he effing wants. If he wants to wear one earring and go to the Met Gala wearing something unexpected, what of it? Fair effing play. I couldn't put myself in that. I'd look effing I'd look weird. By 2020, Liam would finally do Harry's style justice after Harry appeared on the cover of Vogue in a dress by telling Capital Breakfast it was great.
Number 6. Won't talk about Eyes Wide Shut. Eyes Wide Shut was the first collaboration between the couple, which was a dramatic thriller from 1999. Tom plays a Manhattan doctor who embarks on a bizarre night-long odyssey after his wife's admission of unfulfilled longing. The film itself received pretty solid reviews, but the actual shoot was anything but solid. So Liquid then. Stanley Kubrick directed this flick, the man behind the live-action adaptation of The Shining by Stephen King. Kubrick had some pretty odd requests for his actors though during their time on set. Kidman has opened up over the years about her struggles. Kubrick made it so that Nicole and Tom cannot be with each other after shooting, to help maintain the air of psychological and physical alienation. This move was made as a creative effort, but many speculate that Kidman actually may have spoken to Kubrick to request this stipulation. According to the writer of the shoot, Tom was not very nice to Nicole, but we'll get into that one in a minute. The most shocking of rules was that Kubrick wanted to film all of Nicole's love-making scenes in a 6-day span. Her partner in these scenes, of course, was not Tom Cruise. In fact, it was a man acting as her fantasy character in the flick. Kidman has mentioned that Tom was not only forbidden from attending those 6 days, but that he was absolutely fuming from the situation. I'm not sure why it would have been better for him to be there, but I don't know what goes on through Tom's head.
Number 5. The biphobic song lyrics. Liam Payne has received a lot of backlash when it comes to the vulgar language used in his lyrics in his single Both Ways, a song that gets into the intimacy with a partner who likes both girls and guys. Needless to say, the song wasn't really well received at all, as fans would soon take to Twitter to share how they felt about the song's lyrics and even created a hashtag Liam Payne is over party to drive their point across social media platforms, with one user calling out the singer for treating women like they were objects just so he could fulfill his fantasies. Another would point out how it was disgusting and that Zayn would never do this. Liam would then issue an apology later for his song in an interview with the Daily Star, when he would say, "It was never my intention with any of the writings or things I was doing. I was just challenging myself in different areas." The Star then went on to suggest that he was presented with the song idea and decided to move forward with it, when he said, "I was a pigeonholed into this kind of thing, and of course, I'm a young guy and I'm interested in that sort of stuff. I liked the idea of the song and the grooves or certain vibes, so I was like, okay, let's go for it." Number 4. Jabs at Justin Bieber. Throughout his career, Liam Payne has also had a lot of ups and downs when it comes to his relationship or friendship with Justin Bieber, with One Direction and Justin Bieber being one of the most successful teen pop idols during the 2010s. When it came to the competition between the boys, it wasn't really surprising. Take March 2015 for an example, when in response to a fan's question about Liam's career versus Justin's career, Liam would tweet, "How many times have I been arrested?" And then in September 2015, Justin would take to his Snapchat to suggest that his album, which was set to be released on the same day as One Direction's new project, would earn more sales. Later, Justin would also go on a radio show to say he wasn't upset about it. However, he did believe One Direction only chose the same date to drop their album for press. Liam later shared his perspective on Logan Paul's podcast when he explained he once even had a one-on-one conversation with Justin so the pair could squash their beef, and they walked away on good terms. But when Logan suggested Liam should take Justin on in a celebrity boxing match, Liam would claim that Bieber just wasn't qualified to take him on, but it's definitely the other way around. Number 3. Cheryl Cole. For years, not much has been known about Cheryl Cole's and Liam Payne's co-parenting skills together, as they both like to keep the more intimate details on their relationship pretty private. However, Liam once shockingly revealed information about Cheryl's difficult delivery in the couple's relationship dynamic during his interview on Impulsive with Logan Paul, when he said, "To be honest with you, yeah, it ruined a relationship for me in that point, but for all the right reasons," with Liam adding that he was alone with his son for the first day after Cole gave birth. Liam may have painted this picture to show how determined he was to be a good father, but his transparency definitely backfired later, as Cheryl wasn't happy to find out Liam let the whole world know about their past relationship, and a source close to the star would tell Closer later she was quite shocked and disappointed about Liam's oversharing interview, giving away personal info about her, given he knows how private she likes to be. She's chatted things through with him since, hoping to re-establish their privacy boundaries. Number 2. The poster. When it comes to Zayn Malik and Liam's relationship, it seems like Liam can't leave the past in the past, as in one incident, Liam and his fellow members of One Direction decided to pose for a photo with a poster of the band. At this point, Zayn made the decision to leave the band, and Liam was still being salty over his bandmate's move, and decided in a joking manner that it would be a good idea to cover Zayn's face on the poster. However, fans didn't see Liam's gesture as being a joke, and they started to head to social media platforms like Twitter to call out the musician and his rude behavior. And they even told the star that he just wasn't funny, and I mean, they weren't wrong.
And at number 1, her jaw literally dropped. Nicole's description of her first meeting with Tom is something like a fairy tale. In 1989, Nicole Kidman was an up-and-coming 22-year-old who just scored her big break with the thriller Dead Calm. Meanwhile, Tom Cruise was a 27-year-old seasoned A-lister hot off of the success of Oliver Stone's anti-war film Born on the 4th of July. Cruise saw Kidman in her breakthrough role and was intent on meeting her. Per Vanity Fair, the Aussie actor was in the midst of a press junket in Tokyo when she got a call from the superstar's team. She thought, wow, this is America! Tom Cruise wants to meet me, whoa! She subsequently auditioned for a role alongside Cruise in Days of Thunder. Per the Los Angeles Times, Kidman never thought that she would get married, largely due to the influence of her feminist mother. But when she set eyes on Cruise during her audition, she was smitten. Tom pulled up in a Porsche in true Tom Cruise fashion, and when he got out of the car, Nicole recounts her jaw just dropping down. But there was a problem. Cruise was still married to his first wife and fellow actor Mimi Rogers. The couple were divorced the following year and thus began a Hollywood romance for the ages. However, Nicole's not shy when it comes to her thoughts on that first split. Sure, she was the one who he chose, but Tom divorced a woman to be with her, and he was also seeing her while he was still married, which is not a great look for Tom. Nicole has been torn about her feelings on being the other woman, but she has gone on record claiming that the situation left her feeling anxious 24/7. It wasn't until after a full year that she was comfortable with Tom, but he was still being a jerky-turkey, so that victory was very short-lived.
Starting off for list day number 10, we have Too Excited About the Film. In the beginning, it was said that Florence was extremely excited that she was getting the chance to work with Olivia Wilde on the set of Don't Worry Darling, to the point she just wouldn't stop expressing her excitement through her social media posts. After joining the project, Florence would then share a screenshot of the news on her Instagram account where she said, "Olivia Wilde just casted me in a film. Gasp." She then went on to say that Olivia was her idol and that she was grateful that she was letting her be a part of such an incredible cast. Florence couldn't wait to join the cast, and that she couldn't stop gushing about the project, to the point when she finally did reach the set, Olivia started acting weird around her and it made her just want to leave the film. Number 9. A talented and liked actress. For months, Olivia Wilde has been the center of celebrity gossip, as media outlets all over the world have been investigating the issues that went down on her project, Don't Worry Darling. And during the investigation, Olivia has managed to become one of the most hated people in Hollywood, with people now creating a laundry list of complaints. Some have even investigated whether the actress cheated on her ex Jason Sudeikis, and they have even started to pit Olivia against the star of the film, Florence Pugh. While most of the complaints have climbed, Pugh felt ignored by Wilde on set, and the media has created a hot mess of memes on the situation, to the point it's become pretty hard to follow. With Olivia being in the wrong over her feud with Florence, it has everyone closing the door on the actor and has caused her hatred towards the actor to only grow. Coming back to our list today, in the number 8 spot, we have Harry Styles' love triangle. During the rise of all the drama that surrounded the set of Don't Worry Darling, Olivia Wilde's former nanny would come forward to make some shocking allegations, and with them she would allege that Florence Pugh was the first one on set to have a fling with Harry Styles, and this drove Olivia Wilde nuts. In an explosive interview with the Daily Mail, the nanny would claim that Olivia once told her ex-boyfriend when they were still together that Flo was effing Harry, and she had a boyfriend. The nanny also claimed that she herself spoke to Florence to alert her about Olivia's complaints before the premiere of the film. Apparently, Olivia was so jealous of their fling that she even even had to make a cast meeting to go over safety protocols to make sure she was making an example out of Florence. Once she was able to drive a wedge in between their relationship, she slid right in there and replaced Florence as fast as she could. Number 7. Didn't promote Don't Worry Darling. When Don't Worry Darling started to make headlines for all the wrong reasons, all the drama that would start to unfold after Florence was observed not promoting the film. In the past, Florence had entered into the spotlight since her acting debut in 2014 in the movie The Falling, and since she has been known for being loud and clear in her thoughts and with promoting the films that she's been in. And with it, not only have fans appreciated her dedication to her amazing work, but they have also praised her for being clear with what she says. So when the rest of the cast began to share the release dates, the trailers, and talked about their time on set, Florence stayed quiet, and this made Olivia extremely upset over the matter. Number 6. Florence uncomfortable about her affair. When an inside source spoke to Page 6, they would reveal the rift between Florence and Olivia started because Florence was ultimately uncomfortable with the fact Olivia was cheating on Jason Sudeikis with Harry Styles. The source would then tell a media outlet, "I can tell you for a fact that Flo seeing Olivia and Harry all over each other on set did not go down as well as Olivia was hoping for, as she was still with Jason when she hooked up with Harry." Another source would then reveal that Jason was visiting the set with the kids in the beginning of their affair, so it made a lot of people on the set feel uncomfortable. It would then be alleged that there was also a lack of professionalism when it came to Olivia's side, as sources would point out that Florence was ultimately disappointed that Olivia kept disappearing from set to canoodle with her new boyfriend in between takes. Florence was so upset about the absences that when she said something, Olivia began to scream at her like a wild woman.
Number 5. He's a control freak. Tom is no stranger to an on-set freakout or two, but he's also made a name for himself as a bit of a control freak. Both on set and in his personal relationships, Tom feels the need to be in charge of every little thing at any given moment. An insider told Radar Online that Tom was not good at keeping a relationship, as many women found him to be too intense. To him, any partner is an extension of himself and his brand. So he's not only intense, but he's a micromanager as well. So much so that at times, Cruise has even been known to control what his partners are allowed to wear when they're in public. This made many love interests feel like members of his staff, and rightfully so. Kidman recounts Tom being a strict, almost warden-like figure in her life, controlling every little aspect of what she did and said. This created a very toxic relationship between these two, which was a big part of why they split up in 2001.
Number 4. Different opinions. In the trailer for Don't Worry Darling, it was clear that there was some spicy content. Olivia then in a cover story with Vogue would pretty much say she was disappointed that there's never been a good movie that surrounds intimacy. And she would go on to make comments about the lack of female pleasure in mainstream cinema by saying, "When it comes to female pleasure, it's something that we just don't see very often unless you're talking about queer cinema." Later, Florence would then express a different view of things when she sat down for an interview with Harper Bazaar and expressed her disappointment that the Don't Worry Darling film was too focused on intimate scenes. She even took a dig at Olivia when she pretty much said, "When it's reduced to your intimate scenes, or to watch the most famous man in the world go down on someone, it's not why we do it, it's not why I'm in the industry." She then went on to note that the movie could have been bigger and better than the people who made the movie, and they were also bigger and better than that. Number 3. The press conference. On September 5th, 2022, Don't Worry Darling premiered at the Venice Film Festival, and Florence managed to dodge the press conference but attended the red carpet event. This would make Olivia fume, as the whole world was already talking about their feud, and it would only have been the perfect event to cover up the feud. However, instead, the set tried to claim that the actress was missing because she was on the set of Dune Part 2. While it would make sense that Florence would not be at a press event because of her schedule, in the context of everything else that was happening in the lead up to the Don't Worry Darling release, the fact that she missed the release event suggests that the feud between Olivia and Florence was very much real, and something that media outlets did not make up. Number 2. Silence. In July of 2021, as the promotion for Don't Worry Darling started to ramp up, Olivia ended up sharing a photo of Florence from the set, and she captioned the photo saying, "Watching this woman work was such an effing thrill. Can't wait to show you more." Also, immediately fans began to sense that something was just a little bit off with Olivia's post, and then they started to point out that Florence didn't even give the post a like. Olivia, then scared of what this might mean for her image in the press, then proceeded to share a number of different promotional material for the the movie in the lead up to its release. But then Florence, on the other hand, who is normally very active and outspoken on Instagram, remained silent, which is strange for the actor. And number 1, Shia LaBeouf's dramatic exit. So back in September 2020, it was announced that Harry Styles would be replacing Shia for one of the lead roles. With Shia exiting the film, Olivia would try to explain he was dropped from the film due to his poor behavior, when she told Variety that Shia has a process that is, in some ways, seems to require combative energy. Olivia would then try to state that she had a responsibility to make Florence feel safe, and Shia would then deny being fired from the film, and he would then go on to share emails and texts between him and Olivia, and they definitely showed a different story. In the text, she would beg Shia to stay on the project even if it meant it was a wake-up call for Florence. Shia's text would then have Olivia scrambling to her feet to try to fix all the damage by saying she was given an ultimatum and knew she had to stand by Florence, and this made her resent Florence even more.